So I was going to do the homework last night. However, the thing is, I was also working on that project to condition my dog to get treats on his own, and when I was doing that, I was also just so tired, from doing that all night. And I had also conditioned him to turn off the alarm clock, and that turned out to not be super helpful because he turned off the alarm clock when I needed to get up, and so I missed class, and so I couldn't even do the test that was today either. So it's really kind of your fault because you taught me how to do these things, like condition my dog how to do these things, and it really ended up not helping me out really because you know my dog turned off the alarm clock and he shouldn't have, but that's what you taught me how to do, and it's you kind of led me here, and so I think I've really proved that I actually do know what you've taught me. It's just not, in your typical formal testing way, and I think if I could just bring my dog in actually and just show you, maybe that could be better, and maybe I can make up for the points that I missed on that homework and that exam instead, and maybe that could make up for it. So I know, you gave me a bad grade for this, but what if I could prove to you that I actually know how to, I know how to explain these techniques and use these techniques. So what about every time you gave me a grade that's like above 80%, what if I got you your favorite food, And that way, every time I get a good grade, you get something you want too. And it's a win-win for both of us. And so every time I get a good grade, you can expect to have a great meal, you know? So, to prove that I know how to use conditioning and what it is, what if I, brought in my dog to show you that every time I clap, he can open the door. He just puts his paw on the thing and he pushes it down every time I clap. How funny would that be also if like every time I clapped in the room with you, what if you opened the door too, like what if I did that? Or, like what if every time I clapped or snapped, you were changing my letter grade 1 or 2 points, something like that, What if we tried that? That would be interesting. It would show that I know how these things work. So I know you explained to us how hypnosis works, where you start with like a pendulum or a necklace swinging back and forth, and then the person starts to focus on just that. They start feeling more relaxed. They start taking deep breaths and they start getting sleepy, and their eyelids start getting heavy. And then before they know it, they just start to fall asleep just like that.